real warriors never fight alone. No warrior goes. Rambo doesn't exist in reality. There's no shooting people. It never happens. It's always a group. They collaborate. They collaborate with their coach. They collaborate with the audience, with the football, the manager that pays them. It's a very big group all the time, and they need to collaborate with other people.
Okay, welcome everybody. My name is Tal Shibi, and this is Meaningful Conversations podcast number 1, pilot number 1. And today we have a very interesting topic for men's work, for men's development, for the idea of men growing in their lives and leading meaningful lives. And the topic is competition and collaboration. And we have Moshe Kedem here. He is a psychotherapist, a men's group leader, a men's facilitation trainer. And we will together dive into this topic and see what we can learn. So I thought I'll give you a starting point that I've been thinking about, and a personal anecdote. And you have a lot of one-on-one experience with men, a lot of experience in leading groups. So you can tell me how this shows up for the men that you've come in contact with, and then we can see maybe where this is leading.
Sounds great.
All right. So competition and collaboration. It's my personal feeling that men grow from competition. I grew up very competitive. But at the same time, when competition becomes too much or too fierce, they shut down and something else happens. And they need to go into a recuperation period to rebuild so they can go out and compete again. And for my personal story, I think this period from growing up in Israel, growing up in a macho environment, it went to a peak very early on with the culture, with the army, with the pressure. And then quite early in my development, I decided, I need a change. So I went into a different phase of exploring dance, healing arts, improvisation, very feminine energy practices. And I had the whole time a sense that competition is also dangerous because of the way I was affected by it. So I shouldn't be a part of it. And that's, I would say, for my personal journey, about 10 years, until I started really getting more interested again in a sort of more warrior archetype, a desire to say, competition is fantastic, you can grow from it. So something happened in that long span. And I think too much collaboration, meaning an idea that I'm only safe if everybody is collaborating with me, can be one extreme. And the other extreme would be I'm only comfortable in the idea that I compete and I win and perhaps somebody else loses. So that's a starting point for this idea. And I wanted to ask you, what do you see in these two worlds, and men needing to have an edge on the one hand, but also secretly or not secretly really desiring collaboration with other men, and of course with their partners?
Yeah. Well, that's a great topic. In fact, when you suggested it earlier, I thought maybe I will write some thoughts about it, and I didn't do it. I said, okay, let's just start and see what happens. And the first idea that came in my mind now when you were speaking, it's that you can put collaboration and competition, one facing each other. And usually the more the new man will be more pro collaboration. That feels more nice and more safe. Yeah, the new men want to collaborate with his fellow men and fellow women,
Yeah.
and competition is dangerous and it can lead us to violence. But in fact, when you see the athletes, people that are born in competition, that this is their goal in life, this is their job, this is what they do, they compete with other people. They're usually people that really knows how to collaborate with other people. Like there is also in the more group games, there's like say basketball, football, soccer, but also in solo games like boxing. In fact, like, it's interesting because in martial arts, um, it's an art that there's only one man facing another man, and now they
Right.
compete in fighting, and it's very rare occasion in the real world. Like usually when people are fighting each other, they fight in groups. It's very rare that like in real warriors never fight alone. No warrior Rambo doesn't exist in reality. There's
Right.
never the army leads, only one warrior in Vietnam is now with his gun and shooting people. It's never happens. It's always a group.
Yes.
And and also the athletes, they collaborate. They collaborate with their coach. They collaborate with the audience, with the manager that pays them. It's a very big group all the time, and they need to collaborate with other people.
Yes.
And my idea is that a lot of time the people that are afraid of competition, they are very poor collaborators. They are very bad
Okay.
in collaborate with other people. This is
Mm,
why they're afraid of competition, because they're very lonely, in fact. They're
beautiful.
lonely in their mindset. So they're
Yes.
afraid that everybody can hurt them. Because if you feel you are part of the group, you are less intimidated to compete with others, because you're a big group. You have, all your squad behind you, all your team, all the fellow
Yeah.
warriors. It's okay. I'm not only one Rambo in the jungle shooting people. We are a group and we're fighting another group. And people that this is my thought, the people that are afraid of competition, they're usually bad collaborators. They don't know to collaborate with fellow men.
Perfect. I love that insight. And
Yeah,
and it's
just had it
I
now.
it's perfect because it resonates for my personal feeling of being very much in the enjoyment of, as you're saying, competition in the sense of collaboration, team sports, playing basketball, and loving playing with a team and having teammates. And then because of perhaps being too young, having a too combative of an army experience, having a misguided sense that, oh, because this collaboration hurt me, perhaps I should go the lone wolf way.
Yeah.
Society isn't looking out for my spirit and soul, so I will go to the lone wolf way. And what happens with that model is that I was, of course, unaware of it, but it creates a model of the world where not only am I isolated from other men who perhaps want to hurt me, or I don't know what their intentions are, I then need to go into the unknown without any maps, without any elders, without any communities. And the subtext is, I just need to figure this out and perhaps be the Rambo hero, or the Rambo hero, of course, is a story of a combat soldier that goes out to fight his own war and gets deeply traumatized. And so that then carries on into his personal life, of course. And I love where you're pointing at, into the integration of actually leaning deeper into both, seeing, all right, now I'm doing this work, this abstract work, but that's very clear, men's work, sitting with people, talking to them, sharing different parts of my past, seeing that other men share the same issues. And I really like where you're pointing with the integration piece of moving from a model of isolation and lack. I mean, that's the model of competition in the negative dark sense. If I win, somebody loses. Going to what we actually love to see in sports, where we love seeing when after the game, after the whole team's collaborated together, then they hug each other, whether it's fighters or soccer players or basketball players. We love seeing them hug each other after, because we know this competition was actually an excuse for a very deep collaboration.
Yeah, we love to see them also cry when they lose. This also we love it because we feel it also. We feel a part of the team. Interesting, you know. I have another thought while he was speaking about the army. I don't know if I don't know who will watch it. People, Israelis or Americans. But in the army is that we both been in, because we're Israelis and we serve the army, is very hierarchy based. Yeah, there is the soldiers and then the commanders and then the officers and then the big officers. And also it's a part of people collaborate, but there is something very not organic in the army, because the people that in your group that are in charge of you, they are not really elders. You know, they are maybe half a year bigger, maybe 1 year, maybe 2 years. That's not considered elders. Yeah, elders that people that a decade more in the world. 10 years, 15 years of experience. Half a year of experience, and he's he's the commander, and you're is a game. And then it hurts the competition, and the collaboration become very fake. It become very fake. And in fact, those are people that you need to go to combat with, but it's not really that you can, because to collaborate is sometimes I'm speaking, now you're speaking, but sometimes you lead me and I follow. There's also a part of collaboration, yeah? Michael Jordan collaborate with Scottie Pippen, and sometimes they collaborate, but sometimes one goes first and the other follows. But in the army, there's something very fake, because the people that you are going after, they don't really know more than you. You don't really meet the people that are 10 years, 15 years in the army. They don't speak to you. You don't get a really mentoring from them. And then sometimes I think the experience of being in the army is very confusing. You feel the connection to the other people, but it's also it's very hard to fully trust, because nobody knows what's going in this crazy environment.
Yes, absolutely. And there's a beautiful point that comes up in Robert Bly's interview, where they ask him in this a gathering of men, a talk that he gives, and they ask him, so wait, for initiation for men, what about men that go to the army? What about their sergeants? What about their commanders? And he says, well, no, that doesn't count, because those people are not actually at any way caring about the soul of these soldiers. Exactly. So he's framing the elder as somebody who would care for the soul of the young man. So the elder would say, hey, I see you. I'm really proud of you. You're doing an amazing job, because I care about your spirit. I want you to do good. And so he's saying the fathers don't normally do this in our culture. And obviously in that hierarchical system, it doesn't come through either. So that brings the question, what do we do today? I mean, here we are.
Yeah, because that's a good point, because it's usually when people think about collaboration, they think about a group of equal people that collaborate. Now, competition is part of it's part of nature. There will always be people more experienced, less experienced, more strong, less strong, more tall, less tall. And then there's not really an equality in nature around us. And then if you want to collaborate with other people, you need also to accept the idea of authority. If you can't accept the idea of any kind of authority, it will be hard for you to really collaborate with others, because once you see they have something resentment, yeah, and to compete with somebody, you also you need to accept the idea that maybe he's better than me, maybe I'm better than him. That
Right.
it's not always fair share, and it's not in this
Right.
time of the new man. It's a hard idea to accept. Yeah.
Right.
We are a very anti-authority society nowadays.
Right.
And also very lonely society nowadays.
And that's a beautiful segue to touch on how this topic leads us to how we as men also deal with, and these are the integration of these places of inclusivity, how we are included in society, versus exclusivity, our exclusive role. It's like the same way you brought up the classic example of Jordan and Pippen and the whole team. They had Rodman, they had all kind of colorful players, and they were so successful because their leader, Phil Jackson, had a more holistic approach, and he said, I will let everybody fill their role. So you have the wild one that needs to go out and party, and then you have the leader, alpha one, then you have the helper, and everybody accepted their role. Yeah. It seems, which wasn't, as you're saying, it wasn't inclusive in the sense that they all had the same amount of power. They had different powers, and they fill different archetypes. If we go into that arena, in terms of shaman, leader, warrior, and so I wonder why today we get confused sometimes, and I found it confusing also in different times in my life, how the idea of inclusivity can become dangerous when we are not aware that we are thinking that everything should always be inclusive and that I should always be getting the same attention as the other people. And I think it can be confusing to find our role when we think of that, when we think that everything is inclusive.
Well,
it's tough. It's tough to get rid of that idea, especially in the new man circle.
Yeah, that's the tragedy of a team, in fact, because when the team can win, the Bulls can win the championship, but each player will get a different amount of money, a different amount of fame, a different amount of attention. And it will always be like this. If we compete in this, we are competing, or I don't know, collaborating in this video.
Right.
In the end, but I don't know, each of us will get a different amount of follow-up, I don't know, money, people that want to pay us money for us to tell them what to do with their life, or like, so people say, you're great, or you're it won't be, we are collaborating, but it won't be equal. We cannot control it. Each one will, when we finish this talk in 10 minutes, 15 minutes, each one will get his share. And the share are never equal. And that's like, this is a part of, in order to really collaborate with people, you need really to accept it. Because if you cannot accept it, it's very hard to collaborate. It's And this is, in fact, this is the competition, the inner competition that ruins collaboration, because a lot of people are in the mindset, if you'll get more than me, I don't want to collaborate with you. And I rather let go of the bigger cause if my personal gain will be smaller than yours. If it will be like this, so okay, I don't want a bigger cause. And this is a very mature thing. It's very hard to do it, in fact, for all of us, to collaborate with another person and know that my share maybe will be smaller than yours.
Yeah, I love that point that you bring, because it allows for bringing it into the light, bringing it above ground, which gives a little bit of a sense of humor and playfulness. And I think that's potentially where the tension between competition and collaboration can elevate into a healthy dynamic tension. That you're saying, we recognize this tension that, oh, maybe we both want to lead as men. And if we're collaborating, maybe we're doing this workshop together. If we don't talk about it, perhaps it will come out in the room. You will talk and I will interrupt you because I say, oh, this is my workshop. And say, no, it's mine. And I'll correct you and you'll correct me. So I think bringing it up to the surface is actually saying, hey, we can benefit from this tension also. It can be healthy.
I love that you, I don't know, this is our stuff. I don't know if it's, but I love when you, everything I say, I love your idea. So maybe you are loving it, but I'm really enjoying it. Like I feel I don't know if I do the same to you, but I love this. Feeling. I don't know what's the word in English. Pushed or.
Yes. And I think that would be also. I think that would be also for my personal shift that, of course, will hopefully keep evolving. From perhaps if I knew maybe 10 years ago, we were both interested in working with men. And somebody would tell me, hey, this guy Moshe is working with men. Then my initial thought will be, who is this guy Moshe? What is he doing exactly? Why are people interested in him? And I think for me, my evolution would be actually for today, somebody says to me, hey, this guy Moshe is doing this work. Say, oh, great. Let's see how I can have a conversation with him so I can learn something. And for me, that's exactly that flip between this lone person, isolated, needing to compete with other men as if we're all on islands. And I have to get my island to be stronger than your island. And then I will feel secure enough because I will come from a place of being above you. So then I can talk to you and say, hey, Moshe, how you doing? I heard you're doing this work. And when we let all that go, suddenly the islands are not there and we're all swimming in the same ocean. And I can really say to, have a sort of a mandate with another guy where I really want to know how this guy thinks, what helped him unlock this somewhat hostile, confusing world, which it can be for men. It can be for women, of course, as well, for everybody. But for the topics that we're dealing with, it can be very confusing when you don't ask any other men about their journeys.
It's almost impossible. This is it's interesting because this idea, this paradox between collaboration and competition between men, you can see it embodied in the journey of the sperm to the egg, because the millions, billions of sperm ejecting and doing their way to the egg, and they compete with each other. There's only one sperm can reach the egg and enter, but also in fact they collaborate with each other because the one sperm don't have the chance to reach the egg. They need the big amount of sperm to make the pass with the acids and all the obstacles that they meet in the way, so one sperm can reach it. They need this big mass to reach, to make a pass.
Right. Yes.
And a lot of them, they make a pass for each other, and only one can reach. But
yes.
if there were only one, it never could reach. Also 10, also 100.
Right.
And you can see really their embodiment, this paradox that also they compete, and it's a real competition. Right. Only one will survive. They all will die unless you're masturbating, and then all they die anyway. But in the other end, in the same time, they all collaborate with each other.
Yes,
they work as a team.
I think I even heard that the group softens the wall so that one can then, the winner, will then get through. But he can't soften the wall on his own. He needs that group. That's a perfect example. Exactly. So life is rooted right in that healthy tension.
Yeah, and if you're afraid of competition, then it will be very hard for you to be a part of the team, to really help your fellow mates, because you don't want to compete. So how can you help all the other sperms to reach the egg, to soften the walls?
Yeah. So I'll ask you maybe a professional question to pick your brain from your experience of working with men. I know that the art of psychotherapy is not to find a man and say, hey, I've got the answers, tell me your problems and I'll fix them, of course. And yet you still give a structure, I imagine, to try to help men see what's there, what's going on for themselves. If you see a man that comes to you and you sense that he is really in such a sensitivity that he's at that stage where everything seems threatening. So we could say that everything seems like competitive, a competition. You have to work in the world. You have to get a job. You have to talk to other men. And in the workplace, everybody is going to talk down to you and step all over you, depending, of course, on which society, but especially from where we come from, if you don't puff up a little bit, people will just walk all over you. So what do you address this for a man? Do you give him a pointer for it, or can men that have this sensitivity be encouraged to find their also unique? How do they integrate? I mean, I think I have both, you have both sensitive, but we can also go out and perhaps take a martial arts class.
Yeah.
But what if you don't have that ability? You're just in a shutdown mode of sensitivity and everything is a threat. What do you usually point to for this archetype of the oversensitive man who is at the moment shut down?
Yeah. No, it's interesting. Well, it also depends in the client, but if you look at nature, I don't know, today we are with nature, you can see very fragile creatures in nature, and they survive. Like, even if they don't have big teeth, or you see rabbits and very butterflies and very sensitive creatures that each thing can hurt them, and they survive. They find their place in the world. Mm-hmm. I think the work with men that, and it's regarding our topic collaboration, the work with men that are very shut down, very sensitive now, is first to start to distinguish between a real threat and imaginary threat, because not all threats are real, but there are threats that are real.
Right.
There are people that will exploit them, but there are a lot of people that won't exploit them. There are women that will take their life to emotional roller coaster, but there are a lot of women that won't. There are people that want to take their money, that people want, and start helping to distinguish between these things is one of the first steps. Second steps is helping people trusting the self before even trusting others. Teaching them how to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
How to eat,
Wait, it got cut
things
off
that
there.
really help people to grow and feel. Yeah, and say so. Teaching them how to sleep, eat,
How to
clean
sleep.
their house. Very
Yeah.
basic things that help them to feel more safe in the world.
Right.
And the third stage, after we establish these things, is starting to collaborate with other people. And usually it will be men that are trustworthy.
Okay.
Because when these people are reaching a point where they can collaborate with other men, that means show their vulnerability, talk, make place to their needs, put boundaries, and face the consequences. So in a fun way, they will start to feel less vulnerable in the world and less shut down.
Perfect. That's a beautiful way, I think, to integrate our conversation from going from the isolated model to reaching out. And as you said, I think it's very important to trustworthy men as a smart strategy to start getting out of that isolation.
Yes.
So
and
that
feel more safe in the world, because it's very frightening to be alone in the world. It's also very dangerous to be, there's a mommy saying, don't go alone in the forest. She's right. It's a lot of people that encourage it, because you see it in a lot of movies. The lonely warrior goes in the jungle with his gun, but in reality, it never happens. There's no war when a lonely warrior goes alone in the jungle killing people, only if he was in a really dangerous situation. When people start alone to collaborate with trustworthy men, they feel and they are really less endangered. They are more safe. And then they can open up, because somebody feel more safe. They can open up, reach the world. They will start work. They will start having relationships. Everything going to change in their life.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right, that's a good. I think that's a good integration. Wrapping it up for today. That idea of reaching out, collaborating, and I'm happy that we had this intention, that I could reach out and get creative together.
Yeah, happy for this collaboration. Let's see what what it will give birth to.
So if people listen to this and they want to get in touch with you, can they just look you up, Moshe Kedem?
Yeah, they can look me up in the net. And if people want to get in touch with you, they can just look you up, Tal Shibi.
Tal Shibi, Talshibi.
Great.
And
I would recommend Tal. Is a great mentor and coach, and I use him every time that I can, which is also great for me as a friend to sometimes come to you and call you and say, okay, Tal, I have a problem. I need your mentoring, and fully surrender to your guidance, which is great, because I can lead other people, but that doesn't mean that I know what is good for me. I know maybe I can lead them, but it's hard to lead yourself. So a lot of time you are helping me not to be the lonely warrior in the jungle, which is really grateful for that. So fully recommend.
Okay, thank you, man. I love hearing that. And also, of course, I feel the same way. And I like really meeting you also in this more professional hat, because I get to hear a little bit more about how these ideas actually translate into having very meaningful changes for people's lives. And I think that's priceless. Like this work is priceless. Just having these ideas filter in, so we can potentially all grow into having much more easygoing lives with ourselves.
Yeah, I really fully recommend this kind of work, and in the men's group, and people in the States, if they're looking for, I fully recommend Tal Shibi's men's group online, which is great.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate
Okay,
you.
thank you.
All
Okay,
right.
we wrap it up for now, and let's see, maybe we do it again.
Yeah,
And
we'll come
choose
up with
another
another
topic.
yeah. Till next time.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. Peace.